Kindiki is now fronting himself, possibly to be considered as Ruto's running mate come 2027. And where is Ndindi Nyoro left in this case? He's been traversing the country, you know, keen to clinch the position that Gachagua holds. And in fact, when this whole thing began, it was between Gachagua and Ndindi Nyoro. Where's Ndindi Nyoro now?
It is good to state that Ndindi Nyoro himself has clearly stated that he was not interested in that position himself. He happens to be...
But his actions are contrary.
No, you see, Ndindi Nyoro is this MP, and Daktari will agree with me, who's been rated as a very good performer in his region. And again, a young man who has developed a rapport with many of his colleagues, and they've had quite a number of interactive sessions together, so he would go, they would come to his place. It has been normal. People interpreted this to mean that maybe he was angling for a certain position. Those who are closer to the deputy president fought him. Yeah? And even when all that happened, Ndindi Nyoro has never spoken anything ill against the deputy president. He's held his peace. He's never been at the center of these campaigns himself. But the thing is, even the people see the future in him. He may not be necessarily the present, but especially people of my generation can see the future in this young MP. As for what he wants, he himself knows very well. What I know is that the people of Kiharu are very happy about him as the MP. You realized after all these melee, he is the only one who went back home and they lifted him on the shoulders as he went to launch programs, while others' houses were touched and other things happened. So the people are happy with him. I don't know where he's gone to. He's a friend. I look for him and ask him because he's been so silent. I also want to find out what he's cooking. But again, you should know that when people are out of the picture, that is when they do much of the planning. So let's see what he's been planning when he comes out.
Jimmy Wanjigi?
Jimmy Wanjigi, in my opinion, is not a serious factor to be considered in Mount Kenya. And this I would say because people of Mount Kenya want consistency. They don't want a sporadic leader who comes up when there is an issue, tries to take advantage about it, disappears completely, then shows up when there is another one. If you look at what has been, especially among the Gikoyos, if you look at the kind of leaders who lead them, they are not leaders who per se are appointed. They are leaders who rise to occasions when issues demand that they rise to occasions. Keep that consistency, then they win the people's hearts and they become their leaders. So if Jimmy Wanjigi truly wants to be a serious factor that must be considered in the region, he must firstly rise to the occasion and be consistent about it. Right now, especially in central Kenya, we lack a voice of reason because of the noise. You see the deputy president and quite a number of elected leaders from my region are not meeting eye to eye. So then we need somebody who will now be the voice of reason and come and try to calm the storm, try to bring the two forces together. Can he be that force? If he rises to the occasion and become the force, maybe he will become considerable as we go to 2027.
Dr. Mutunga, Jimmy Wanjigi is also positioning himself to be the region's kingpin. And he could be having his own electorate, maybe the Gen Zs.
First of all, the Gen Z say they are formless, they are not political, and they do not want to, they don't have an organization. They are Kenyans, which we appreciate. So I don't think they have identified with Jimmy Wanjigi, although he would like to identify with them himself. He has tried to identify with them. And if you look at the kind of things that he fronts so strongly, he's a sensational leader. He would like to, whip emotions at the height of, occurrences, and that's not the kind of leadership that we are looking for. We're looking for somebody who identifies with people, understands what kind of problems people have, and deals out some of these problems in various ways. His engagement with people is through media. I have not seen a lot of his engagement, you know, at personal level, and it's always around Nairobi. So Kenyans are not in Nairobi. Kenyans are all over the country, and they have different problems based on the peculiarities and specificities of their regions.
So there's need for
so
him
if
to
you
hit
don't
the
really
ground
go
for
to
him
the
be
people
felt.
out there, how will they identify with you? So if he's identifying with elites, probably he could be the leader of elite, but I don't know the extent to which they would identify with him.
By the way, that is in Kenya Kwanza's side. Azimio, self-proclaimed Azimio principal, Kalonzo Musyoka, is he being felt?
Kalonzo Musyoka has a lot of homework to do before people can feel now this is the Kalonzo. He has a lot of packaging to do because people don't trust him. His consistency in terms of standing through, and his also level of organization of the outreach across the region, because sometimes you realize that, like when we were during the time of the second appointment of the cabinet, there was a clear fallout within the Kenya, the Azimio, and ODM stood as ODM. You see, when parties in a coalition decide to take a distinct position, then you realize that there is a lot of disagreement before that can come to the fore. So Kalonzo Musyoka happened to be the one now, you know, refusing some of these things to happen. And there was a good reason why the government would have, indeed, consider having a broad-based, you know, government. And the occurrence in June was very, very telling, because the narrative, the falsehoods that were fed to the Kenyans were too much, and the confirmation of the falsehoods by the opposition was really in very bad taste, and that can lead our country to the shambles. So
Kalonzo Musyoka is also keen to ensure that he gets the Mount Kenya region's backing, and already,
you know, there's
Kioni, Jeremiah Kioni, SG Jubilee.
I hope to meet
the former Kiambu governor.
I was hoping to meet Jeremiah Kioni to get to hear their strategy, but you can be very keen, you can be very,
and also he's looking at
enthusiastic,
you know,
but you know, we
Uhuru
need to see
Kenyatta's backing
kind of
from the region, and a possibility also of a Kalonzo Gachagua ticket. Will it be a threat come 2027?
You know, people believe in leadership that they can identify with. And what is happening in Mount Kenya right now, people are fairly confused. Let nobody tell you that, oh, I have the grounds, people have listened. We're all listening to the ground. And the ground is confused right now because at the top here, there is a lot that is happening, which has not really been translated to issues on the ground, because whatever is happening must have, you know, must have come up because of we care about our people back there. And the fact that they know there's some disturbance, and you have not explained to them exactly why the disturbances are there, then they're still waiting. Now,
yes.
Kalonzo needs to do a lot of work, and if there is likely to be that kind of coalition, we can only wish them blessings. But let me tell you, people will go for the person who they believe will deliver them from the problems they have.
Kimani, you know,
yes.
Kalonzo Musyoka.
No, you know, Kalonzo Musyoka
Chief Opposition Leader
has found himself with a very difficult task of fitting in the shoes of Raila Odinga. You know, Raila Odinga has been the enigma of Kenyan politics for quite a period. He's been, we like to call him the fourth arm of the government. That there is the executive.
But we have the fourth estate. Maybe the fifth.
No, he's the fifth arm. He's the fifth estate, the fourth arm of the government. So to put it, there is no government that survives without the input of Raila Odinga in one way or another since multi-party came into being. Now, telling Kalonzo Musyoka to fit in those issues is very difficult because Kalonzo Musyoka is a good gentleman for once. When you compare him with politicians of his level, you understand he could be the least corrupt, so to put it. But then he lacks, in my opinion, the political muscle, right? To elbow his way through whatever circumstances that needs to be waded through for him to come out as a strong politician. And that is his very biggest undoing. because he always plays around like a contented number 2 kind of a politician. You know, a perfect vice president kind of a politician is Kalonzo Musyoka. He is not the one that would antagonize you. He is not the one that would just do things just to wreak havoc. He's just a good number 2 kind of a politician. Now, him trying to rise to become the number 1, he needs to do a lot of homework, as Hon is saying. He had a very good strategy, saying that the Gema A meant Akamba, not association, and that he wanted to bring the Akambas back to the fold. But then, you bring Akambas back to the fold, perfect. You increase the vote basket from Mount Kenya. But are you doing it to lead it or to add to its voice? Because now when you come back and you find that in that home that you've come, there are stronger brothers who should take lead and you follow, then you will be on your way out again, because again, you didn't come to lead, you come to be received and to be among the leaders, not necessarily to lead. So to imagine that there would be a coalition between Kalonzo Musyoka and Gachagua, and that coalition would scare William Ruto, I think is to overstretch.
Martha Karua, Muhisa Kitui, Ekuru Okot.
Those are good...
they seem to be crafting their own political outfit.
Good gentlemen and lady of opposition politics. They are not necessarily ones to engage in protest, but people like Martha Karua, on the floors of court, she could really help Kenyans. I keep thinking that Martha Karua should have stuck to politics of the Senate. She would have been very instrumental in devolution in this republic. When it comes to forming policies, laws, when she was an MP, she did it excellently. Now, sometimes it's good for us to be ambitious, but we also need to tell the level to which we can rise, depending, because you see, political seats, you must have the backing of the people. If Martha Karua went for like Senate, I would imagine even from 2013, I would imagine that she would still be the Kirinyaga Senate up to date, and that she would have helped devolution a lot, because that is where she fits perfectly. Muhisa Kitui is a very good gentleman as a CS, in my opinion. He look at the positions he's held even with the UN. Top-notch positions. He would help this country so much if we understood that he is a very good CS when he's given a certain docket, and that what he needs to do is to find himself in a good coalition that can lead, and him getting a good CS position to help the nation. Now, it doesn't have to be that you must be a president to help the nation. Kalonzo Musyoka would be, imagine if Kalonzo Musyoka was President Williams Ruto's deputy today. You know, Kalonzo Musyoka is a peace-loving Kenyan. He is not the one that would antagonize. So for once, Mount Kenya, maybe the Ukambani would have fitted very well into the mix. The Mount Kenya would have been a bigger basket, and the leaders wouldn't be as agitated as they are today with Rigathi Gachagua. So in my opinion, I think it is people seeing where they fit well and going for those positions, as opposed to imagining, because you must be realistic. If Kalonzo vies as a president today, how many votes would he garner? Give him a max of 2 million. Where would that take him? So why do you want to keep vying to get 2 million votes just for the sake of it that you've been a presidential candidate in quite a number of elections, so when you can be the best, when you can be a very good UDA deputy, right? Me, that's how I look at it. People should understand where they fit well, then go fit there.
Dr. Mutunga.
People like Gachagua should now be in the opposition. You know, when people are antagonizing, they should belong to the opposition. That is where they should. That is where you find the rabble rousers.
Dr. Mutunga, Martha Karua, Muhisa Kitui, and Ekuru Okot, they're crafting something.
We have known them, and we've known their performance in the past. We know exactly what they're able to, bring to the fore. I would like to speak to Muhisa Kitui. Muhisa Kitui is a strong professional. He is very good in what he does. And sorry to say, I haven't seen his strength in politics. Politics does not work very well with professionalism, with the kind of, you need to be a rough person to be able to engage and also suffer the setbacks as a result of such engagement.
By the way, ODM is split.
But
Anyang' Nyong'o says that there is need for the members to back Ruto's government. What do you feel ODM should be? Is it opposition or in government? Should they declare their stand?
It depends on their levels of satisfaction. You see, everybody, it would have been best if all of us could be in government. Then we'll sit on a table and say, this is how we want to manage Kenya. But it's also not safe. It's also not, it's not safe for Kenya to have one party and everybody agreeing, because we will not probably be able to have checks and balances.
In the opposition.
We need checks and balances, and strong checks and balances. Let me say that ODM
has
played a very good role as
government.
an opposition party. They have played a very good role as an opposition party.
So they
have been able to take the government to task most of the time. But then, with the mix right now with the broad-based government, you know, when you talk to some of the members of ODM, they tell you those who are appointed as individuals. But then the proposals must have come from somewhere. Because how can the leader of minority be picked as an individual when he is the leader of a minority of the party in the House? So there must have been consultation. So it depends on the levels of satisfaction of that particular.
In fact, those who have embraced the broad-based government are Odinga's elder brother and also the Senator Oburu Oginga. The minority leader, Junet Mohammed, the national chairperson of the ODM party that is now Gladys Wanga, was also the governor for Homa Bay, national treasurer Timothy Bosire, and Nairobi chairperson George Aladwa. On the other hand, Edwin Sifuna, Odinga's young sister, and also the deputy organizing SEC, Ruth Odinga, Babu Wino Mbakasi East, James Orengo, Siaya governor, and Caleb Amisi, and as well the Lugari member of parliament Nabina Bwera, are a bit cautious. Are you seeing the possibility of ODM dying?
We cannot say ODM would. You know, we are right at the beginning of all this. And when you mention those names, I try to associate them with the level at which, you know, their stance, especially when they make pronouncements and when they stand on positions. And there are some people who are very good at opposing, without necessarily, you know, being their expression is that of this won't work, this cannot work. They are opinionistics in the sense that they would like their view to be bought. Now, when you look at somebody like James Orengo has always lived in opposition, even when he was a student. So that is his, his cup of tea.
Even as we're about to wind up.
The question one asks is, did Raila Odinga unilaterally choose the 4 people from ODM into cabinet?
So that his family is split when it comes to supporting. And
no, because if he didn't, we ought not to see the differences we are seeing among the people in ODM. Because they should have been consulted and it should have been agreed among the leadership that we have agreed to donate 4 people into Kenya Kwanza. And then it should have been clear, is it a coalition we are forming with Kenya Kwanza? What work arrangement are we having with them? By the way it seems, it is like Raila Odinga woke up, called Bandi, Wundai, Joho, Oparanya, and told them, hey, you guys, do you need a job? And he told them, I have a job for you in Kenya Kwanza government, I've been given slots. Then the others woke up and there was like, because I remember the Secretary General saying, when they were appointed, like today, he said, yesterday we met and we didn't even agree on that we shall have our people being appointed CSS. Now, so there are those who agreed with the decision after it had been made, and there are those who still felt we should have been consulted, maybe for self-interest or maybe for preservation of the party. Whatever it is, I think let the party sort itself out.
Allow me to sample some feedback we hear from our viewer this morning. That is via social media platforms at K24 TV. Joe Church as well on SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of the screens. Joanne, let's have them up on the screens. Gadhogo Mwangi, Mount Kenya is actually behind Rigathi Gachagua. It's only political leaders that are with Kindiki. Kindiki can only garner 68 votes pale Murima. They will see dust. Patrick, but swali langu is shida iko wapi whether iwe Kindiki or Gachagua. Cha muhimu is projects zifanyike, na whether you support him or not, Ruto will win in 2027. Wakikuyu mkitoka nje, Raila na timu yake will rush to replace him. Alan Obare, there is a new game plan for Kithure Kindiki to take over from DP Rigathi Gachagua as the Mount Kenya kingpin. Kindiki will be going round to inspect projects to lie to your face that Ruto is working, kumbe ni kutafuta kura za 2027. Inaendelea. Sam Kahuro, kura za Central Ruto anakacheza proper. Msee ameamua kuzisplit mara kama 7. Gachagua, Kindiki, JK, Wanjigi, Murima inabaki wafungue akili ama watolewe kwa map kabisa. Bernard Kiruthu, Gachagua this, Ruto that, Kindiki this, Raila that, Uhuru this, UDA that, the same endless shenanigans. Where do the people and the improvement of our livelihoods fit into all this? How will jobs be created? How will those stealing public funds be held accountable? Dr. Mutunga, even as we wind up in a minute or less, you know, just from, of course, the feedback from Kenyans, I know you have a lot to say, but just to make it short, is Kenya doing enough to bring Odinga's win at the AUC bid? And the politics of the church, you politicians are back on the pulpit to campaign, and also as the Gen Z a passing cloud. In 30 seconds or less, Ken.
I don't think Gen Z is a passing cloud. I think Gen Z made a statement which every Kenyan today remembers and would like to respond to at any one time, to keep at the back of their mind that when you are discharging a responsibility, you need to be careful how you do it, and you need to also show clear levels of accountability and concern for the people, because they raised very pertinent issues. Now, when it comes to church, I don't think, right now, churches are taking positions, and churches are very fidgety when it comes to politicians and political pronouncements in churches. Mm-hmm. And they are careful to state that you need to steer off politics.
Thank you.
And then finally, the Raila campaign, I would say that it needs to be better organized, and we need to see more energy.
Well, Kimani, in 30 seconds or less.
I would advise the president, I know I'm not his advisor, but I would advise him to critically think about the Gen Z and what they can do in the 2027 elections, because his worst enemy is not even Odinga, Gachagua, or anybody else. It is the about 18 million votes of the youth and what they can do in that elections. So in the years he has, I would wish that he has a critical arrangement for them to have them satisfied by that time.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are completely out of time. I know we'll still create time to engage in these conversations later on our shows. That has been Kimani Mwangi, political analyst, and as well Honorable Dr. K24 Mutunga, MP Tigania West, a conversation on the state of politics. My name is Joel Chacha, and do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Good day.